my first question is, can you talk a little bit about what prompted CommonSites?
One of the things we set out to about half a year ago was that we wanted to create a more creative and open heritage network. And the things that we encountered in our own experiences, that we saw a few challenges in the present day heritage field that we wanted to address. The first one is that what we wanted to do, or what we saw was not working well, was that the reporting and visibility of heritage projects and archaeological research projects was pretty poor. The way we saw it, there was no direct line of communication between the communities for which we work, the organizations and the archaeologists or heritage specialists that do the work quite often, and the funders themselves. So there was no immediate line of communication between these parties, and there was also no direct progress reporting from the field. Quite often we believed you have to wait as a member of a community or as a funder quite like several years before an academic report comes out or before a consultancy report comes out. So the other thing that we saw was that the funding of heritage project was has some challenges. That in our own experience, a lot of heritage projects were struggling to attract funding or resources for the kind of more community aspects of heritage projects, or the more capacity element building aspects. It was quite easy to attract funding for research, but not for the wider aspects, and we wanted to address that. We also saw that the funding was, in our view, pretty much a top-down affair, with Western organizations deciding where the money was spent, but with no vehicle for local communities or other communities or local NGOs to develop their own demand-driven projects and to attract the funding that they want for their kind of research. And we thought that the heritage field at present was pretty much not really taking full benefit of the wider public interest, that people who are interested in heritage projects around the world do not have a vehicle to donate their expertise or donate their time or donate their funding. And this, combined with the fact that there was not a general platform where you could see what kind of heritage projects were going around the world. You had to search everywhere on the web. This prompted us to develop what we called CommonSites.net, which is a platform which tries to build these links between partners, funders and communities. So that was basically the start of it half a year ago.
So CommonSites employs this crowdfunding method. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Before I talk about crowdfunding, I think it's important to realize that what we want to do is more than just crowdfunding. We also, basically, we want to provide tools to increase the reporting and visibility, as well as the accountability of projects. So in our website, the way it works, every heritage project basically has its own internet page, which is a page where you'd have a description of the project, and where the practitioners or the people who are interested in the project can have progress reporting from the field. So you're in the field and you can send a movie or a picture or a text message with your SMS, and instantly it pops up on the project page. And that same project page is basically copied in a multitude of places, what we call shared publicity through widgets. But one of the fundamental things of this project page is that there is an element within that, which is the crowdfunding element, where basically there is some information on the project proposal and the project budget and the kind of funds that are needed to do this. So as a visitor to this project, you can see what the budget headings are and what money is needed, and you can just click on a little button which says donate, and that gets you to a pretty safe environment, not a pretty safe environment, a safe environment like PayPal, where you can donate instantly money to the kind of project that you as an organization or as a funding organization or as an interested member of the community find interesting.
I was wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit about the sorts of projects or institutions you'd like to see get more involved with CommonSites.
I think I'll best answer that by focusing first on the kind of projects. as I mentioned in the beginning, the focus that we have is not so much on purely research projects, but rather on sort of more holistic or embedded research projects and the more heritage projects. So the kind of projects that we want to host are projects that have some form of added value, social value, cultural value, economic value to the communities for which we work. So we want it to be the broader social embedding of projects. And we do this by setting out several focus areas. So we have what we call public archaeology or community archaeology, capacity building, conservation and management, education and outreach, local economic development, cultural tourism. So it's really about the more small-scale projects like funding a teacher's handbook or donating money for the development of a local museum, or finding some extra resources for inviting local scholars to a conference, or developing site leaflets, etc. So for us it's really about obviously the budgets can become pretty big, but at the beginning we wanted to focus on the smaller heritage and community aspects of projects.
Do you envision the sorts of partnerships that CommonSites is facilitating as a way to give local communities more access to global resources and capital, or is giving them an increasing role in defining what heritage is and how they might productively benefit from it?
Yes, both, I suppose. I think the kind of projects that allow to be uploaded in the CommonSites system are exactly projects that are being shaped and defined by communities themselves, and these can be local communities. So one of the things that we hope will happen in the soon or in the long run is that communities themselves make proposals for the kind of heritage project or research project that they want to develop on the basis of their own ideas and their own approach to heritage. So we can envisage a community saying, we really want some funds and some expertise to have these specific research questions being addressed. And the way we want to accommodate this is by is through a partner network. So we have in CommonSites what we call a trusted partner network, where we have organizations that we call support organizations, support partners, like Leiden University at present or University of Queensland, who basically are part of the CommonSites system and who want to help project proposals from communities around the world in terms of getting them online and ensuring a little bit of quality, and helping these communities with expertise or funds. So in that sense we really want to provide exactly this kind of bottom-up demand-driven projects.
I wanted to ask you a question, a kind of broad question, or a set of broader questions. I was wondering, what do you feel is at stake currently in promoting this sort of crowdfunding for heritage and archaeology, because it is such a relatively new thing? And how do you see the train of funding within heritage shifting these days?
The sort of funding environment starts to change in the heritage field. I think it becomes, at least from an academic perspective, less easy to attract funds for research or for heritage projects. I think the sort of Western approaches that are tied to the funding field are being increasingly challenged. I see a move towards more corporate funding these days, not only through sort of commercial archaeology, but I think also with corporate social responsibility. And I think there is, on the whole, through all the new and social media, there is a move towards crowdfunding, so crowdsourcing, so tapping into the interest and resources of communities all over the world. So yes, this is a response to that.
Could crowdfunding actually change heritage?
Basically, all we want to do is to provide the tools for communities and funders and partners to attract funds. The reality is that we do need funds to get things going. And I think the CommonSites system allows us actually to keep a very close eye on what happens after this. So because the really simple reporting tools allow you to see instantly what is happening with the funds that are being spent. You can follow day after day the progress from the field, because people will comment upon things, send text messages, movies, and the funders have these projects embedded in their own website or on their personal blog, and so we invite the discussion. I think hopefully the CommonSites system will be a platform where this can actually be looked at.
What are the next steps for CommonSites?
Well, the big one is going live. As I said, CommonSites.net will go live in a soft launch as we speak. So people can already have a look at it, and basically the site is live and it's working, and everything is tested, especially with akvo.org, our partner who developed a lot of this open source software. And then the next step for us is attracting more partners and more projects. I mean, right now we have 2 online, but we have about 10 to 15 more projects in the pipeline of our current partners, like Leiden University, University of Queensland's Nexus Heritage, CHSS from Australia, the Museum of Volkenkunde in the Netherlands. So they're actively already putting in projects, and so that the next phase is putting up these projects and see what works, what kind of feedback we get. And yes, we also need more continuous funding for CommonSites itself. So we also try to have a look at that. And we're really interested to hear from everyone in the field what we should change or what we should do. We really see this as a communication thing. We believe that if the field, no matter what they are, if they are communities, heritage organizations, archaeologists, if they don't use our tools, then obviously something is wrong. So we really want people to tell us what they need, and so we can continue developing it.
Great. Well, thank you very much, and we're all very excited to see what happens in coming days. Thanks.